Hey folks, apparently it's not all gloom and doom when it comes to expropriation without compensation in South Africa. Of course, this anti-private property rights piece of legislation was passed last year is in conflict with Section 25 of South Africa's constitution, which requires that just and equitable compensation be paid when the government expropriate property. Now, governments around the world have similar laws. We have eminent domain here in the United States, which has been abused in the past, but people are forced to pay property owners for the property. It's a question of whether it's appropriate or not. But back to the case of South Africa. In Tshwane, Pretoria, the capital of South Africa, the city sought to evade court orders that forced them to evict squatters from property owned by a private property owner by simply expropriating the property, saying they needed it to provide housing for the people being evicted. So this is an illegal action. It's unconstitutional. It violates the law, and the city of Tshwane attempted to do this. Surprisingly, a verdict handed down by the Supreme Court of Appeal in South Africa says that the city must abide by the lower court's rulings to evict the squatters and restore the property rights. This is a major victory for South African property owners in the face of unconstitutional legislation that was passed last year and signed into law by Cyril Ramaphosa, famously while he was in Davos, although he'd actually signed the legislation in late December the previous year, thereby evading the opportunity for members of parliament with 1/3 of them to sign opposition and take it to the Constitutional Court within 30 days for a ruling. So expropriation without compensation has been the law of the land now for a year. Is it happening? Well, we still see people illegally occupying land. We saw it in Polokwane last year, formerly Petersburg, with people staking out private plots of land on land owned by someone else and saying they did so because Ramaphosa said they could do it. We've never heard any updates on what happened there. We also saw police illegally selling people's farmland in the Eastern Cape. So what's going on in South Africa? This is potentially a big victory, but it's a one-off, and it has very specific circumstances in which the property owner had secured an eviction order, and the city was ordered to take those squatters off the land. So don't, get too excited that expropriation without compensation is not going to be the order of the day. Governments don't pass laws unless they intend to take advantage of them and use them. The government of South Africa intends to expropriate land without compensation. And this is, as I said all along, since it hasn't happened on a mass level since the law was passed, it's exactly what I predicted. This is a tool meant to intimidate political opposition. If you run afoul of the government, they can threaten you. They can take away your pension fund. They can take away your bucky. They can take away your cars. They can take away your flat, your apartment, your property, your land, your jewelry. And they can say it's in the name of, taking care of the historically disadvantaged. They'll do that. That's the purpose of this law, for political intimidation. And also it was a sot to people on the far left who believe that the land belongs to them, even though they never owned it. So shame on those who think that there's no such thing as expropriation without compensation. In this case is a one-off. Don't get too excited. It doesn't mean that things are going to get better in South Africa or that expropriation will not happen. It means in this case, under these circumstances, the rule of law will be upheld. Now, the question is, will the city of Tshwane remove the squatters and rescind the expropriation? If they don't, then they should start locking up city officials. What do you say, South Africa? Cheers.